Back in 2016, Shakur Stevenson was squeezing into a tiny Newark apartment where feeling safe was something he simply couldn't buy. Fast forward to today and he's living in a massive Houston compound covering acres of perfect green land, protected by security systems that cost more than his parents ever earned in their whole lives combined. Today we're stepping through the gates of this private kingdom to show you exactly where the fight money really goes, the custom touches, the crazy monthly expenses, and the special bedroom security feature that no other boxer ever thought to add. Every morning back then started with triple-checking the locks because his neighborhood ranked among the most violent zip codes in the entire country. For young Shakur, home never meant fancy floors or tall ceilings. It was only about staying alive and keeping quiet until he could reach the boxing gym. Moving from one relative's couch to another created chaos that destroys most dreams before they even begin. That same chaos created a hunger that no amount of luxury can ever copy. The streets turned boxing into much more than a game. It became his only escape route out. Real hunger creates a different kind of animal. Once you understand the concrete nightmare he escaped, those huge green lawns in Houston stop looking like something he bought, and start looking like something he conquered. You always hear that 70% of pro athletes end up broke soon after retirement. Usually it starts with the very first big paycheck they receive. Shakur openly says that early on, he wasn't thinking real estate. He was chasing things that lose value fast. That first real money disappeared into chains, designer outfits, and cars that dropped 20% in value the moment they left the dealership. It's the classic trap. People try to look rich before they actually become rich, choosing the appearance of success instead of the foundation of it. Flash disappears. Equity remains. He soon figured out that diamonds never pay you monthly checks. So he switched from collecting liabilities to hunting real assets that would protect his future family. That decision led him straight into real estate. People ask why a New Jersey-born fighter would put down roots deep in Texas. The answer is simple numbers. New Jersey hits you with some of the highest property taxes and state income taxes in America. Texas? Zero state income tax. For a fighter pulling in multi-million-dollar purses, staying on the East Coast basically means giving the government millions every year for free. Moving his legal residence to Houston instantly gave him a huge raise without ever needing to fight extra rounds. It's never about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep. This relocation marks the change from pure fighter mindset to CEO mindset. He realized location matters to his bank account just as much as his defense matters inside the ropes. The compound isn't sitting next to a loud highway where fans can cruise by and take pictures. It's hidden away in a peaceful upscale pocket built for total privacy. The location search focused on staying far from the city's crazy nightlife while being close to top private training spots. He picked a place where the neighbors are energy billionaires and tech founders who have their own wealth and don't get starstruck, creating a bubble of normal life where he can walk outside without being mobbed for selfies or challenged to random fights. Quiet is the real luxury. In a sport full of noise and drama, having a home that feels like a quiet sanctuary is crucial for mental reset. The location forces a complete break from the hype machine, so he can recharge fully between training camps. Real estate pros always repeat, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. Shakur timed the Houston market perfectly. He bought right before the post-pandemic price explosion turned everything crazy expensive. By grabbing this property when he did, he locked in an asset that's probably gone up 15 to 20% in just a few years. He didn't stretch himself thin on a mansion he couldn't afford during downtime. He bought something that fits comfortably inside his income range. Buy smart, live large. This kind of discipline is rare in boxing. Instead of being trapped in a mortgage that forces a fight every few months just to pay the bills, he owns an asset that basically makes money for him by sitting in one of the hottest markets in America. People who advise combat sports athletes have noticed a big trend: fighters chasing legacy train in Vegas, fighters chasing wealth move to Texas. That explains why guys like Shakur and Gervonta Davis are eyeing the Lone Star State. It gives you room to build huge compounds that would cost 3 times more in LA or New York. Houston gives you way more square footage per dollar, letting a fighter create a true fortress instead of just a fancy condo. Your zip code can literally decide your net worth. Shakur paid attention to the fighters who went broke before him and did the complete opposite. This house stands as living proof that he studied boxing's financial graveyard and refused to repeat the mistakes. Pulling up to the property, the first thing you notice is the deep silence of the thick wood surrounding it, not the size of the entrance. Unlike those loud glass-heavy LA mansions screaming for attention, Shakur's Texas hideout disappears behind tall mature oaks in Kingwood, an area nicknamed the Livable Forest. The design creates a mental wall between Shakur the fighter and Shakur the man, using stone and brick that blend into nature instead of trying to dominate it. Privacy is the modern status symbol. The long driveway curves deep into the land so that by the time you actually see the front entrance, you've already passed several layers of natural and man-made protection. Most celebrities put in security to guard their watches. Shakur built his to guard his peace. We're not talking about a basic ring camera and gate. Sources say the entire perimeter has high-level surveillance like you'd see around an embassy, motion-following cameras that can read license plates from 100 yards out. After surviving Newark, where danger showed up without warning, he invested big in systems that warn him about trouble long before it gets close. Peace of mind carries a serious price tag. That setup lets him finally sleep without staying half awake. And for him, that feeling is worth more than any supercar in the driveway. Shakur once told GQ that his first real I made it purchase was a $150,000 Mercedes Maybach that radiates boss energy. That car now sits as the centerpiece of a driveway that looks like a private luxury showroom. Next to it you'll usually find a tough G-Wagon, the go-to vehicle for today's athletes because it handles Houston's bad roads and sudden floods like nothing else. But this isn't just showing off metal. Each car has its own purpose. Maybach for business meetings, G-Wagon for training camp drives. Trophies on wheels. For someone who grew up riding the bus, walking out to six-figure engines every morning is a constant reminder that the struggle officially ended. Now think about the cost of just letting luxury cars exist. Between high-end insurance, climate-controlled storage to fight humidity, and the expensive fuel those big engines demand, Shakur is probably spending $5,000 to $8,000 a month on them before he even starts the ignition. These cars are like spoiled superstars. One oil change on a Maybach can cost more than a whole year of payments on a regular car. The real cost of luxury isn't the sticker price. It's the endless subscription that never ends. Step into the backyard and it feels like you've left Texas and landed at a private resort in Turks and Caicos. The heart of it all is a stunning zero-edge pool where the water looks like glass melting into the grass. But the real star is the huge outdoor kitchen with commercial grills built for massive post-fight cookouts for the whole team. This area isn't for doing laps. It's for shutting off the boxing world with waterfalls and the sound of steaks hitting fire. Recovery happens outdoors. He created this space because he can't just hit a public park or community pool without getting swarmed. So it became his own private town square. There's a wild story in his circle about an obsessed fan who tried to find the house by studying tree reflections in his Instagram sunglasses photo. They drove around Houston for hours trying to match the shot, and failed completely. That scary moment reportedly triggered an instant upgrade in his online security. Because in 2025, a tall fence isn't enough when you also need a digital wall. Fame draws the crazies. The brighter you shine, the bigger the shadows, and the taller your walls have to become. Open the front doors and the first thing you feel is huge vertical space. The foyer has a double-height ceiling with a chandelier that probably cost more than most sparring partners make in a year. Look at the walls though. Instead of random modern art, you see giant portraits of boxing gods, Ali, Floyd, Andre Ward. It's a hallway of legends that sets the tone the second you walk in. This isn't just a house, it's a temple built for the sweet science. Greatness greets you at the door. Shakur didn't hire some trendy designer to fill it with neutral colors. He curated it to remind himself of the bar he's trying to reach every single time he steps inside. You'd think a 27-year-old millionaire's kitchen would be full of junk food and champagne. Instead, Shakur's looks more like a nutrition lab. The fridge is lined up like the military, prepped meals labeled by macros, stacks of alkaline water, zero junk. The pro-level Wolf appliances are built for performance fuel, not for frying wings. This room runs his brutal weight cuts, the toughest fight he has before the bell even rings. Discipline lives in the refrigerator. While his friends might be vibing in the living room, this kitchen stays a strict no-cheat zone, proving the discipline never switches off when the gym lights go out. The living room is ruled by a massive TV that feels like an IMAX screen. But it's never on Netflix. Most days it's playing crystal-clear fight footage of the next opponent on repeat. The custom deep sectional sofas let the whole team sit for hours breaking down angles and tendencies in what they call the war room. Soft rugs and warm lighting keep it comfortable, but make no mistake, this is where the plan to destroy the other guy gets made. Study creates knockouts. The space blends relaxation and work so perfectly that he can study opponents while his body rests. Walk down the hallway and the lights shift from cozy home glow to sharp gallery-style spots. This is the trophy room, the only place where the past is allowed to rest. Glass cases display WBC, WBO, and ring belts. The emotional center is usually the Olympic silver from Rio, the almost that still pushes his perfectionism today. Those belts aren't sitting on shelves, they're mounted on velvet like museum pieces. Gold deserves a shrine. Standing inside that room, the silence feels heavy. It makes you respect the blood and pain it took to fill those cases, turning shiny metal into a living history of war and triumph. Most megamansions have guest rooms that sit empty most of the year. Shakur's guest wing stays active. He didn't leave Newark to be lonely, he brought the original Day One crew with him, cousins and childhood friends who kept him straight when the streets were loud. Those rooms have the same high-end feel as the master suite, so his inner circle is treated like family, not extras. It's a smart move to surround himself with people who knew him before the money arrived. Loyalty gets a full suite. Keeping the circle close and under the same roof blocks the yes men and leeches who usually bleed young fighters dry. There's a big difference between looking rich and being wealthy. Rich buys a Ferrari. Wealthy drops $40,000 on a custom Italian sectional that took 6 months to arrive. Crazy enough, one throw pillow on that couch probably costs more than a full month at the old Newark gym where Shakur first learned to jab. It's a sharp reminder of the difference between the struggle that created the fighter and the comfort that now keeps the man going. Soft pillows. Hard hands. Even though his world has gotten softer, the hands that paid for it still have to stay dangerous. We're officially halfway through the tour of Shakur's Houston empire. If you're enjoying this deep dive into how a champion lives, spends, and guards his peace, please smash that subscribe button right now. We break down the lifestyles of the world's best fighters every single week. You don't want to miss the next one. You might expect a world champ to have a huge commercial-style gym. Shakur's home setup is actually very simple: heavy bags, speed bag platform, open floor space. The whole idea is zero excuses. Number 30-minute drive means no reason to skip extra rounds. He put in pro-grade flooring that feels like ring canvas to save his joints during midnight shadowboxing. Champions train in secret. This lets him work on new tricks away from cameras and spies. If you want to master anything, create a place where you can fail privately so you can win publicly. In 2025, recovery is the new training. Right next to the gym is a high-tech recovery room that looks like a medical lab, cryotherapy chamber, infrared sauna. Shakur knows his body is a limited resource that needs serious care to last. Instead of driving across the city to a spa, he can hit freezing temps at 3 a.m. after a long run. That difference turns a 5-year career into a 15-year legacy. Health is the best investment you'll ever make. Tucked away from the fun areas is a quiet room with mahogany doors and a big oak desk, the office. This is where Shakur the fighter clocks out and Shakur the businessman clocks in. Here he reviews contracts, talks with promoters like Aram or Hearn, and plans his next moves. The walls aren't covered in fight photos, they're lined with business targets and property listings. Sign the checks instead of just cashing them. Having a real office changes your mindset and forces you to treat the business side of boxing as seriously as the fighting side, something many broke fighters learned too late. Finally we reach the inner sanctuary, the master suite. There's a huge California king bed that almost looks small in the giant room. But the real story is the door. Word is Shakur installed a biometric, reinforced panic room door for the bedroom. In a time when home invasions target athletes, this isn't paranoia, it's preparation. Sleep safe and dream big. When you're the target, the ability to close your eyes knowing nothing can touch you is the only way to get real rest. Shakur stays one of the sharpest dressed boxers out there, and his closet proves it. It feels more like a luxury boutique than a wardrobe: LED shelves, hundreds of Jordans, designer boots, perfect jeans, all color-coded. He's obsessive about detail and it shows. This is where the image gets built, including press conference fits that millions will study online. Style is mind games. Looking expensive makes people believe you are expensive, and that belief sells tickets. We see the chains and Patek watches on IG, but we never see where they sleep. They don't sit in drawers. Inside the suite hides a serious vault bolted into the concrete, fireproof, drill-resistant. Shakur treats his jewelry like liquid money that needs maximum protection. Flash needs a fortress. If you're going to wear a house on your wrist, you better have a vault for when the lights go off. Young athletes are moving away from Scarface-style mansions toward Iron Man-level smart homes. Shakur's place runs on a full Control 4 or Savant system. Lights, temperature, security all controlled from his phone anywhere on Earth. It's not just fancy, it's about saving energy and money as bills keep climbing. Control is the new luxury. Being able to adjust your whole environment from your phone is the ultimate modern flex. Now who actually runs a place this big? Shakur isn't out there cutting grass. The estate runs like a small luxury hotel, full landscaping team fighting Texas jungle growth, daily housekeeping rotation, private chef who travels during camps. That staff is the hidden price of mansion life. You're not just paying a mortgage, you're paying people. Freedom comes with payroll. He trades cash for time so he can focus completely on boxing while a small team handles everything else. Texas has no income tax, but property taxes and cooling costs are brutal. Keeping a huge house cold during a humid Houston summer, when it regularly hits 100+, can cost as much as a used car every month. Add pool care, security fees, and high-profile insurance, and the monthly burn to keep everything running is probably $20,000 to $30,000. Air conditioning isn't cheap. It's a reminder that a big house is a living animal that constantly needs to be fed money. Walk past the main house and you'll spot a smaller, but still impressive building on the grounds. That's where the real motivation lives. Shakur has always said his biggest goal is retiring his mom and getting his younger siblings out of Newark's danger zone. This compound is the Stevenson family headquarters, a safe place where they can gather without fear. Mom eats first. This isn't just a bachelor pad. It's a generational stronghold built to end the poverty cycle that trapped his family for decades. Compare Shakur's Houston move to rival Devin Haney's LA lifestyle. Haney spent millions for an LA mansion where you pay crazy money for the address and get half the land. Shakur's Texas move gets him double the property for half the price. Flash versus value. In LA you pay for the view, in Houston you pay for the empire. Math wins fights. Shakur plays the long game, choosing assets that grow his net worth instead of just growing his likes. Is this house a liability or an asset? In today's Houston market, with tons of money flowing in from California and New York, this property is a performing investment. High-end homes in his neighborhood keep going up steadily. If he ever sells, he'll likely make more than most of his early fight purses combined. He didn't just buy a house, he parked his money in a growing economy. Live in your investment. There's one room in the entire compound that stays almost completely empty. Not because he ran out of money, but because he ran out of need. Shakur keeps one space bare as a meditation area, no furniture, no distractions. It's a physical version of the mental emptiness he needs before a fight, a place to sit on the floor and visualize victory without success crowding his head. Emptiness clears the mind. In a house full of everything, the most valuable room is the one with nothing. Word around boxing is that Shakur isn't finished building. The next chapter reportedly involves buying nearby commercial land to create a private boxing academy open to the public, basically building Newark South in Houston. The goal is training the next wave of fighters and turning his discipline into a system. He's moving from buying houses to building institutions. Legacy is brick and mortar. To become truly immortal in boxing, you have to leave more than clips, you have to leave structures. Despite the millions, the gates, the security, Shakur still carries Newark in his walk. He said in interviews that he still feels out of place at fancy dinners and prefers his original crew. The luxury hasn't softened his edge. If anything, it's made him more alert, treating the house like a castle that must stay defended. You can't buy the hood out of your system. That inner tension keeps him sharp in the ring because he remembers exactly how far the drop is. Critics call his style boring, his defense running. But look at the house that style bought. While crowd-pleasing sluggers take punishment and end up with damaged brains and rented apartments, Shakur's hit and don't get hit approach has given him a king's lifestyle with his health still 100%. He watches the hate comments from his cool home theater completely unbothered. Boring pays billions. He's showing the most exciting thing in boxing isn't a knockout, it's walking away with your mind and your money still intact. Fast forward 20 years. The cars will be old, the clothes will be dated, but this land will still be here. Shakur is creating what people call generational velocity, the momentum that pushes his kids and grandkids miles ahead of where he began. This estate is the anchor that changes the Stevenson name from a police report statistic to a family dynasty written on a deed. Names disappear. Deeds last forever. He's not fighting for another belt anymore. He's fighting so no Stevenson ever has to sleep in a cramped apartment again. There's a big difference between being a rich boxer and a wealthy businessman. A rich boxer rents a mansion for the vlog. A wealthy businessman owns the land the mansion sits on. Shakur Stevenson cracked the code. He used boxing to build the life instead of using the life to keep boxing. Don't just win the fight, win the game. From the broken sidewalks of Newark to the perfect grass of Houston, Shakur Stevenson's real estate story is a masterclass in leveling up. He didn't just buy a house, he bought freedom, safety, and a future by trading flash for equity and noise for silence. As he keeps ruling the lightweight division, one thing is obvious: the king of Newark has built his castle, and he dares anyone to try and take it. That's the tour for today. Thank you for watching. Until next time.